Friends, before we officially begin, I want to offer just a little bit of information and a few reminders about things. We are conducting today's ceremony in compliance with the requirements of the Montgomery County Health Department, so we thank you for your compliance as well. There are, if you have not already noticed, there are portable restrooms available back at that part of the field. I ask you not to congregate around there. There are hand sanitizer locations available as well. Several of you have already got onto this, but while you are seated at your pod, we do invite you, if you feel comfortable and would like to remove your mask. But when you are up and moving around, if you need to get up for some reason, we would ask you to replace your mask while you're up and moving, and especially as we depart. The one exception to that, mask off, except when you're up and moving around, is for our graduates when they are coming up to receive their diplomas. Let us now begin with a moment of silence. Well, good morning. I'm Jonathan Oglesby, head of the upper school here at Sandy Spring Friends School, and it is my honor to welcome you all to the graduation and commencement ceremony for the class of 2021. We are glad that you're here as much as possible, spread out on your own individual pod, and yet we are closer than we have been for the past year. We are pleased to welcome those of you who are joining us via Zoom and YouTube. We are sad to be separated from one another by distance, but we are together in this moment of celebration. 1 year ago, we gathered for this auspicious occasion only virtually on Zoom. Everyone in the class of 2020 was huddled in their various homes across the country and across the globe. We had only just barely begun to emerge from lockdown, uncertain of what was ahead and not fully aware of the unimaginable toll COVID would take on our planet, our communities, and even on us individually and personally. As massive and all-consuming as the pandemic has been and continues to be, however, there are still so many things that occurred since the last time we celebrated a graduating class. To be sure, not all of them were positive. Environmentally, our planet experienced more hurricanes and tropical storms than ever in recorded history. Politically, we witnessed an unbelievable fight that followed the death of Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. We personally watched an insurrection against U.S. democracy take place on television, followed by unfounded accusations and lies. A sitting president was impeached for the second time, a first in American history. And while Breonna Taylor and George Floyd's murders occurred before graduation last year, the pandemic of racism continued to rage and spread with flashpoint names of Daunte Wright, Atlanta, Georgia, and sadly countless more. As tragic as all that is, it is also not the whole story. While we were sheltered at home, our planet saw an incredible, if perhaps only brief, rejuvenation of earth and sky while we let it rest. Our families and communities rallied, we wore masks and we stayed 6 feet apart, and we found ways to care for one another even as social distancing became part of our vernacular. We baked bread, we read novels, we completed puzzles. We discovered not only how many movies there are on Netflix, but we also discovered how quickly we could watch a 7-year series. Black Lives Matter grew and took root in individuals and communities across the U.S. and across the world. We were present for the historic election of Kamala Harris as vice president, and we were moved by a young poet, Amanda Gorman, who captured not only our national and individual grief, but also our collective hope. Alas, we began to see the scientific wonder of multiple COVID vaccines come online, allowing a gathering such as this to occur. And we caught a glimpse of what might lie ahead. That was evident just a few weeks ago with the pure joy of the not-so-promish event. Your resilience, your persistence to return, to smile and to laugh, class of 2021, gave us yet another glimpse of hope. But of all these utterly significant and tectonic events of recent history, there are two slightly more obscure ones I invite you to consider for just a moment today. The first was that massive container ship, the Ever Given, that got stuck sideways in the Suez Canal for 6 days in March. At 400 meters long, weighing 200,000 tons empty, its blockage of such a key passage of global trade drew our attention, and if you were me, a few jokes. Emblematic of our interconnectedness as a global economy, it was a reminder of how any one of us can disrupt the lives of so many others. The second was a small solar-powered robotic helicopter, the Mars Ingenuity. Weighing in at only 4 pounds and measuring just 19 inches tall, it accomplished a feat unimaginable to generations for whom Mars has been only the stuff of science fiction. So my charge to you this day, class of 2021, is twofold. Of the Ever Given, be mindful and careful of the wake of your life, of the ways your individual and collective thoughts, words, and actions can disrupt the connections of our world that is so desperately needed. And of the Ingenuity, being clever and imaginative, original and daring, as you step forward into the next chapter of your future, please, 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 for the love of all that is possible, seek the impossible. Seek the bold, seek the transformative, no matter how small you may, at times, think your life to be. This is the goal to which we as Sandy Spring Friends School repeatedly commit ourselves, and it is our most fervent hope for you. Thank you.
Good morning, friends. On behalf of the Board of Trustees of the Sandy Spring Friends School, thank you for joining us in person or around the world to congratulate and celebrate the class of 2021. Graduation from high school is often seen as a milestone, marking the end of the transition from childhood to adulthood. Having to spend this last year of high school away from some of those that you love the most has been incredibly difficult. But as you leave Sandy Spring Friends School, know that SSFS will not leave you. No matter where you go in this world, and no matter what you do in this life, you will carry everything that you cherish the most about this school with you. I know this because many years on from high school, I still carry the words of those teachers that impacted me the most. Like my history teacher, who said that if something is worth doing, it's worth doing poorly. His point wasn't that you should set out to do a bad job. It was that there are so many wonderful things to do in this world, and so many things that need to be done to make this world a better place. So don't wait until you will be able to do the job well. Don't wait for that perfect moment. And don't wait until you have the time to do it. Jump right in with both feet and just do it. Your life will be richer for it, and the world will be a better place because of it. or my English teacher, who remarked that when she returned to her childhood home as an adult, she had to fight the urge to leave her dishes in the sink. We all reach that day when we are no longer children in our parents' homes, when we must interact with our parents as adults, and when we have adult responsibilities in the household. For you graduates, that day is today. So leave here this afternoon knowing that time is precious, that you have your whole life ahead of you, and that the world is at your feet. And perhaps this evening, leave the dishes in the sink for one last time. Congratulations, class of 2021. We are so proud of you.
Hello, friends. My name is Josh Moffett. In addition to being a teacher here at Sandy Spring for the past 11 years, I'm proudly a graduate of the class of 2002. Being a graduate from Sandy Spring is truly a unique and special experience. It's frankly an experience that... Okay, friends, we're at the first crossroad in this speech. See, I am currently scared right now, nay, terrified. See, I'm an introvert, and I hate public speaking. I don't like having all the attention on me. For years, I've talked to former 12th grade Dean Leah about preemptively rejecting the role of graduation speaker if I was kindly asked by the students. And, well, this year I forgot to talk to current 12th grade Dean Nancy O'Leary. So, here I am. After kindly being nominated by the senior class and then being asked by Nancy, I looked to Leah for counsel. She said, with your departure, it's now a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and I think you should really consider doing it. It'll be a great way to send off the seniors, and I know they would really appreciate it. Wow. Pretty inspiring stuff from Leah. How could I possibly say no? However, now, as I stand up here and reflect back, I'm not sure I was talking to my friend and colleague Leah, rather Leah, a mom of a current graduating senior. So, well played, Leah, well played. Now we're at the next crossroads. Where does one begin with a graduation speech? Usually they give pieces of advice and life lessons, so I went to YouTube and I started watching commencement speeches, just looking for ideas. I saw a military officer talk about the importance of making your bed each morning. Maybe I could adjust this one to apply to a non-violent Quaker community. But, well, I didn't consistently use a top sheet till I was 23 years old, and I still don't know how to fold a bottom sheet, so that's not gonna work. Plus, you've probably all seen that speech before, so it probably wouldn't be a good idea to plagiarize it. So I started thinking about people, places, things that have inspired me and given me advice throughout the years. And of course, I turned my attention back to here, back to this place, Sandy Spring Friends School, a place where I've been a community member for over 20 years. And of course, I thought of George Fox's quote, "Let your lives speak." I got it. That's it. That's going to be my thesis for you all here today. All right, friends, we're at another crossroads. This nice Quaker-educated Chilean Jewish boy started reading scripture. Wow. Doing research, searching for the meaning and inspiration of "Let your lives speak." I wanted to know what influenced George Fox to come up with this phrase, and the only conclusion I came up with after days and days of research was he didn't actually say it. It's paraphrased. That was brand new news to me. Fantastic. So now as a history teacher, here gives me one last opportunity to give you all a proper lesson in paraphrasing, quoting, citation, and, of course, everyone's favorite Chicago format. Can you think of a better way to end your tenure here? I can't. All right, fine. I won't do that. The actual quotation from George Fox's writing is, "So let your lives preach. Let your light shine that your works may be seen." I'm all set. I have this George Fox quote. I've read some scripture. I have some context. Let's focus on that second part. Let your light shine that your works may be seen. It's time to inspire. We're at our last crossroads, friends. See, I don't think I'm able to inspire today. I can't do it because the advice I wanted to give you all, you already have. You inspire me. You let your light shine every single day. You let your light shine on the basketball court, volleyball court, and athletic fields. Your light shined on stage with grace and dignity. You let your light shine in 9th grade as you led marches in DC to support gun reform. You let your light shine as you showcase your art across the school, or even keep it private in your journal. You let your light shine as you took care of each other after the sudden passing of a dear friend. You let your light shine on Model UN, Quiz Bowl, and other enrichment activities when you laugh, smile, cry, when you share stories about driving, parking, leaving the car on, work, and everyday life. You let your light shine last Wednesday during Senior Passion Projects. You let your light shine as you showed your resilience this past year, navigating a global pandemic, logging into Zoom at 8 a.m., 8 p.m., and 3 a.m. to attend classes. You let your light shine when you carved my face into a pumpkin, thinking that would surely win the pumpkin carving contest. It did not. You let your light shine when you questioned the direction of the school because you want it to be the best place it can be. You let your light shine when you're talking with your friends, best friends, and making new friends. As you share your voice on Torch, and when you challenge stereotypes and actively promote diversity. You let your light shine when you stood in front of the student body and shared your personal TED Talk story. And each and every day when you share your personal identity and story with the rest of us. You let your light shine on Intercession when we've already been working for hours cleaning up from the hurricane, and you asked, can we please stay just a little bit longer? Our work was not yet done. Most recently, you let your light shine by acknowledging the first peoples that once lived on this land and your work to begin reparations. You let your light shine by asking questions. And you let your light shine when you are quiet, reflecting in silence. Friends, my only advice for you as you leave this campus is to continue being you. Go out into the world and let your light shine. I am so proud of each and every one of you. We are all so proud of you. Congratulations and welcome to the Alumni Club.
everyone. My name is Irene Deniston, and I am the clerk of our student government body, Torch. I'd like to once again thank you all for attending this event today. It's an honor to be able to speak at graduation this year. I am aware that as speaker and as clerk, I may appear on this stage right now very poised, very put together, a very well-adjusted individual. But today, I must let you know that this is all a facade. And in reality, I have never moved past a specific life-changing experience I had at this school. When I was 4 years old, in pre-K, 2007, I had a stomach ache. But when I went to tell the teacher that I had a stomach ache, another student went at the same time to tell them that she had a stomach ache. Tragically, due to poor timing and bad luck on my part, when I told them right after she did that I also had a stomach ache, this made me look like a scheming fraud. A copycat, as 4-year-old me probably said. Instead of being sent to get water like my peer, I was sent back to my seat. As you can see, this has traumatized me to this day. I actually lie awake every single night, and I play it over in my head. And it's a shame, really, because were it not for this embarrassing, unjust event, the other 14 years of my Sandy Spring education have been so wonderful. I can recall the exact day I got so excited over finally learning how to write an AP history essay for Kathy Hanna that I suddenly knew what I wanted to do in college. I can also recall the day that Ted McAdams and I fired rubber bands at each other during study hall, and I can recall the day that my 9th grade English class signed a random piece of wood we found outside and gave it to Scott Carneal, and he still has it in his classroom now. I remember in 4th grade building stick houses and climbing trees until one of us got hurt. And I remember just this past month spinning a sculpture around outside the upper school until one of us got hurt. The memories I've accumulated over the years, of which I can only barely scratch the surface now, remind me of the bond I feel with every one of my classmates and every adult who has mentored me along my way. I might even, in spite of the 2007 stomachache incident, be able to admit that this school means quite a lot to me. And as I considered this speech, and I considered how to possibly summarize all the emotions I'm feeling, I was drawn back to a metaphor I've heard, that life is like riding a bus or a train in some regard. You will watch the people around you as they enter and exit your car at their own stops. Sometimes you will enjoy the view, and sometimes you'll be in a dark tunnel or two, but nevertheless, you will continue on your journey. I've come to see Sandy Spring Friends School as my own bus in that way. Pearl is probably driving the bus, and I get to eat my meals out of those little brown paper lunch bags just to personalize things a bit, but nevertheless, we have all been on our own SSFS bus in this way. However, as I stand here today, catching glimpses of my diploma out of the corner of my eye, I'm realizing that a major design flaw in this metaphor is that it doesn't tell you at all what you do once you have to get off the bus. All of this has been my life from pre-K up to now. So what now? When I think about leaving, incomprehensible as it is, I think the most about people who have only just entered this community. And I wish I had the time again to tell an incoming student, or my advisor who was new this year, or Rodney, or anyone who's new, and tell them you've stumbled upon something wonderful here. But I have the memories from my time here. I have the friends I've made and will continue to stay in touch with after graduating. I have the faith that one day there will be visitors allowed on the Sandy Spring campus again, and then I can just stop by and see how this little hippie joint is doing every now and then. The school has morphed and changed in my time here, and I've done the same. Our grade, the class of 2021, has grown from the group of 11 shy kids in that pre-K classroom to the historically largest group of pubescent and rowdy preteens to pass through the middle school, to a bunch of grown-up people here today, quickly as it happened. We're taking everything we've learned from each other and from this school and from our childhood and using it to propel us forward into young adulthood. I will carry what I've learned here from everyone with me, and I wish us the best of luck in where we lead our lives next. Thank you to the class of 2021, and thank you to all of you.
Hello. Rodney, you look great. I'm really glad we have such a stylish head of school. It's really nice to see. I'll never forget sitting on the floor of the Beast Cafe amongst the backpacks of people sitting in chairs and eating a dry ham sandwich that I had gotten out of our school gymnasium on my first day here at Sandy Spring in 10th grade. I had been so terrified at the idea that I wouldn't be able to find my people, that I would sit down with some group of kids and for some reason I wouldn't like them and they wouldn't like me, and boom, I would be stuck with these friends that I didn't want. So that first day at lunch, I figured I'd just follow the peppy talkative girl from my advisory, Esther Farron. I don't know where she is. She'd have plenty of friends for me to choose from, right? And when she led me to that big group of strangers, I remember thinking, oh, good, my plan worked. At least some of these people ought to be likable. And so I sat and listened, not talking too much at first to hide how weird I knew I was, following my dear mother's advice. And after maybe 2 weeks of listening, I realized something. These kids were insanely weird. They talked about the weirdest, most off-putting, horrifying, and often disgusting things. Talking about what it would feel like to have different body parts flipped inside out, what they would or wouldn't do with a clone of themselves, and other explorations of the limits of human anatomy. These disgusting, stupid, immature, outlandish, gross topics were appropriate lunchtime conversation? Now these are my people. My fears were quickly alleviated. After I witnessed our clerk, Irene, tell a kid with glasses, "Shut up, Four Eyes," and get a huge laugh, I knew my interjections would be just as well received, and I quickly began engaging with my community. What I found was that this community was one very worth engaging. My teachers were particularly engaging. Ann Polyu even continued to engage my 10th grade English class, despite the fact that every day we seemed to be trying our very hardest to drive her up a wall. And students here were willing to talk to me about almost anything that came up. And trust me, that concept was pushed to its limits. This warm engagement is something I have always felt here. Something special to me about here. Something about the disposition of everyone I meet here in some way says, I am happy to be here, even through this pandemic. And that is something truly infectious. One thing that's given me that collective warm feeling more than anything has been meeting for worship. One of my most peaceful memories was walking through the woods to the meeting house on Community Day of my junior year. Something about sitting in that silent old building gave me such a sense of comfort that I had never felt, and it inspired me to go back to meeting on Sundays. A collective pastime that was truly welcoming was when I got to race against my classmates in a speed-based lettuce-eating tournament. Eating an entire head of lettuce in 15 seconds flat while being yelled at and chanted on by hundreds of my peers was a spectacle I will never forget. Hearing all my friends and classmates rally out to one another, "You can do it! Eat all the lettuce you can eat!" My fellow Sandy Springers were so encouraging and supportive that it never even felt like a competition. And after the lettuce eating contest, when I got on stage to accept my trophy and $10,000 cash prize, I felt even hungrier for lettuce. I just wanted to eat more lettuce. In a way, that lettuce was a metaphor for knowledge, and the trophy a metaphor for the diploma that we are going to receive. And I hope all of us will root each other on to feel the insatiable hunger I felt for lettuce for the noble pursuit of higher education. Possibly my most treasured memory from my time here was the one intercession trip I got to go on. A trip to Logan, West Virginia, where my classmates and I hiked a beautiful mountain, got a chance to do meaningful community service work, and found a memorable purple friend that got us all in trouble. May he rest in peace. It was a lovely dumpster funeral. As we laid our friend in the dumpster that night and watched the giant dumpster fire we set burn into the sky, with the smell of flaming garbage aromating, I had a realization. All good things must come to an end. Now, I don't want to talk about the adversity we have faced as a class, or the trials and tribulations of the coronavirus and how we have faced it with resilience. I think that's something we all know to be true and will carry with us. But something I really hope we don't overlook is how warm and friendly this community has been to me and hopefully to all of you. I found my people, just as weird as I am. People here are happy to be here, and that's special. Thank you.
Friends, we will now settle into a time of silent worship. For those of you who may be unfamiliar with this practice, I invite you to see the information on the back of the program. Today's meeting for worship will be completely in silence, and our worship will conclude with the start of the performance of For Good.
have rewritten mine by being my friend. Like a ship blown from its mooring by a wind off the sea. Like a seed dropped by a skybird in a distant port. Who can say if I've been changed for the better? Because I knew you. Because I knew you. I have been changed for good. And just to clear the air, I ask forgiveness for the things I've done you blame me for. But then I guess we know there's blame to share, and none of it seems to matter anymore. Like a comet goes orbit as it passes a sigh of wind, like a stream that meets a seed drop fire halfway through the wood. Who can say if I've been changed for the better? I do believe I have been changed for the better. Because I knew you. Because I knew you. Because I knew you. I have been changed
Changed for the good indeed. Good morning, everyone. For those I've not had the pleasure yet to meet, I am Rodney Glasgow, head of school, and it's wonderful to see you in all the fullness of that word. My mother would want me to make sure you're comfortable, and so if you need more water, there is water by the registration table. You know where the restrooms are, but please, self-care is so important. Class of 2021. It is a distinct honor to celebrate you today. You are fierce, you are brilliant, you are resilient, all proven in this unusual year. It is not lost on me, in a year consumed with how many can gather, and where, and when, that your graduation marks the largest gathering that most of us have attended in over a year. And I agree with Remy, I do look good, and so do all of you. For some in the audience, they traveled a long distance for the first time in over a year to sit on the hallowed grounds of our campus, made even more sacred because of your presence on it. And to Irene's point, know that you are never visitors here because this place belongs to you. Your graduation opens the celebration of the 60th anniversary of the founding of our school. You take your place among our alums, like Josh, rooted in a 60-year tradition and poised for the present moment. I heard that there is a graduation tradition of walking barefoot to receive your diploma. When I heard it, it only reconfirmed for me that we were an intentional match made by the universe. For 20 years, I have been giving talks and presentations barefoot. I stand on this stage barefoot. I have adopted a practice of taking off my shoes as soon as I get home and walking the space barefoot. I walk my office and Scott House barefoot. And why do I do it? Well, I have my reasons. I think about that moment in the Bible where Moses is walking up to the burning bush. I don't know if you've read it, but that bush becomes the voice of God. And as he approaches, as Quaker understanding would have it, Moses stilled himself and in the silence heard the voice of God. The first thing that the voice of God says to Moses is, remove your shoes as you are standing on holy ground. I believe everywhere we walk has the potential to be holy. So when I remove my shoes, I am reminding myself that it is my responsibility to honor the sacred space I'm in, and indeed, to even create it. It's not the space itself, it's your full presence in the space that makes it sacred. Just as when you walk up, it won't be the diploma itself, but everything you put into it that makes that moment sacred. I also remove my shoes because I love to show off a good mani-pedi. Self-care, again, really important. Class of 2021, in one of the most challenging years we have faced in a century, you showed your resilience. Amidst all of it, you are thriving and graduating on to the next stage of your remarkable journeys. Way back on the first day of school, and doesn't that feel like yesterday and forever ago at the same time? I spoke about the root of the word resilience, silience. Silience is not a real word, but it has real meaning. John Koenig, author of A Dictionary of Made-Up Words, coins and defines silience as, and I quote him, the kind of unnoticed excellence that carries on around you every day, unremarkably. The hidden talents of friends and coworkers, the fleeting solos of subway buskers, the slapdash eloquence of anonymous users, the unseen portfolios of aspiring artists, which would be renowned as masterpieces if only they'd been appraised by the cartel of popular taste, who assume that brilliance is a rare and precious quality, accidentally overlooking buried jewels that may not be flawless, but are still somehow perfect. Class of 2021, you are salient, like the cicadas, and the one that just landed on my shoulder, that we've suddenly taken notice of as they emerge after 17 years of incubation where they quietly went about their work of nurturing, growing, learning, and preparing. The universe now calls you to emerge after about 17 or 18 years of incubation at home and for some significant time here at Sandy Spring Friends School. May your call be as purposefully disruptive to the space you inhabit as the unmistakable call of the cicadas. Spaces made more sacred because you were in them. Let your sounds be a joyful noise, a song for everyone to hear, and while the tune may not be flawless, it will somehow be perfect. While silience may be humble, it is not always quiet. Let it not be lost on you that silience is one letter away from silence, and it is no wonder that that letter is I. As you learned through your education here at Sandy Spring Friends, when you allow silence to settle until you are moved to speak, and when you speak from the I, you bury a jewel unique to the world. What begins as speaking from the I deepens into speaking from the why, speaking with a purpose. Sometimes at graduations we can focus on the where. Where are you going to college? Or the what? What do you think you'll do in your career? And perhaps even the how. How does it feel to be moving on from SSFS? But really, the best question is why? Why are you going to that college? Why are you interested in that career? Why do you feel the way you do about this school? Recently, I was talking with a friend about the importance of why, and yes, that's what heads of school talk with their friends about, and she shared this clip with me from comedian Michael Jr., who talked with one of his audiences about what happens when you focus on the why. When she showed it to me, I knew I would have to share it with all of you. And so we'll go to the video clip.
So you're a musical director.
Yes,
Cool.
sir.
All right, so let me get a couple bars of like Amazing Grace. Can you do the first part of that? Go ahead.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me.
Wow. That bro could sing. You know what I'm saying? All right. Now, what you give me the version is if your uncle just got out of jail, you got shot in the back when you was a kid. I'm just saying, let me see the hood version real quick, if you know which version I'm talking about. Just see if that exists. Let me see what you got.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I see.
So here's the thing. The first time I asked him to sing, he knew what he was doing. The second time I asked him to sing, he knew why he was doing it. When you know your why, your what has more impact because you're walking in or towards your purpose.
You knew when he hit that one note, he found the purpose, right? Class of 2021, as you go out into this next chapter, undoubtedly in search of something, let it not be a search for what to do, but rather an exhaustive search about why you are called to do it. When you act on your why, your action is broader, more connected, more impactful. When you let your life speak or indeed preach with knowledge of why you are speaking in just that way, your life becomes more soulful, more powerful. It becomes a tribute. Class of 2021, as you go out into the world, let your life speak even further than it already has. Speak your truth with a power that underscores the amazing grace of your salience. And it is that salience done over and over and over again that makes you resilient with a clear sense of purpose beyond the self, brilliant and indeed fierce. Emerge, spread your wings, your collective call being a resounding chorus on purpose as you let your lives speak. We will still ourselves and listen. Congratulations. And now, dear friends, and we use that with the capital and the lowercase f, it is our distinct honor to present you with your diplomas.
We will begin by reading the names and having them join us by Zoom and video of our virtual graduates who are around the globe. Ashley Chen. Lucy Chen. Jingting Violet Chen. Paula Baratella Evencio. Sumin Hong. Max Hu. Arthur Ma. Ray Ma. Ana Beatriz Marangon. Etra Marcoux. Amir Mustafa. Yi Ellen Wong. Fei Wong. Zichang Jeffrey Wong. Jili Vivian Wei. And Yolanda Zhu. I now invite our soon-to-be graduates who are seated in the first row to gather over to receive their diplomas. Irene Deniston. Mark Hooks. Miri Moreau. Lucas Niepold. Kwame Boama. Liana Hill. Olivia Gilbert. Sophia Hussman. Alina Mahdi. Ryan Kobe Barnes. Looking good, man. Looking good. Congratulations. Megan Roush. Quinn Boyer. You made it, you made it. Mohamed Toure. Ariana Daney. CJ Gale. Lauren Gurman. Shujo Shirley Lee. Trevor White. Nakyung Jesse Lee. Micah Vargas. Liam White. Usman So. Matthew Benjamin Richards Room. Talia Storer. Blake Tearing Dendup. Nice, I like how you have it opened up. That's good, good move. Congratulations. Sam Chopra. Bryden Hollander. Layla Bobro. Brianna Zavala. Jensen Klaus. Yep. Natalie Alexandra Norman. Elena Davis. Congratulations, Elena. Very exciting. Jocelyn Motley. Awesome. Congrats. Patrick Remy Poulin. Lucy Thomas. Will Hoddick. Sarah Topchick. Maya Ginterman. Deborah Bonilla. Carmen Alvarez Alonso. Leah Menashe Anderson. Beatrix Ann Brett. Gabriel Lee Picard. Sage Harris. Getting some big cheers there. Bethany Bisrat. Take your time, take your time. You don't want you to fall. That's okay. Katie Ayers. Ethan Moran. Allison Dixon. Esther. You're revving up there, Esther? Esther Farron. Of course you are. Nico Buscano. Nico, looking sharp like the thin tie. Good luck. Congrats. Joseph Che. Congratulations. Thank you. Rebecca Choi. Ratika Ball. Declan Burrows. Kai Jackson. Mia Broadway. Moira Elizabeth McCudden. Miguel Korzeniewicz. Ethan Niache. Mia Fawcett. Varun Narayanan. Sarah Fishman. Isaac Moles. Kojo Dankwa Noma Addison. Dankwa. Congratulations. Bowie Minnell. Ian Stedham. Grayson Rosewag. You want to hold your dick on it? and Joey Price. Friends, let us offer one round of applause for the class of 2021. Woo! Before our final musical presentation, let me just offer a few thank yous and some instructions about our departure today. So I want to offer a big thank you to our facilities team who has worked tirelessly behind the scenes to make this a smooth arrangement for us. For our IT team and their technical assistants. For our faculty and staff, not only for their work throughout the years, but for those who have volunteered here today. For our health center staff, for Lisa Dyer and Andrea Strum, and all the emails that you got from them about your COVID tests and your PCR and your vaccines. And they made us laugh along the way, too. To the Senior Celebrations Committee that worked tirelessly to make sure that we had promise and helped us think about how we could do graduation in person. To the Parents Association, and especially Adrian Chisholm, who put all these signs along the drive. To the alumni and the advancement team, and especially Lauren Mossman. And finally to you, parents and guardians, whose commitment to Sandy Spring Friends School makes what we do possible. Thank you. After this final musical presentation, we would like to do an orderly departure from this space. We're going to ask for all those who are not seated in a pod to get up and to depart first. So if you're on a pod, please remain seated. The ushers will then come along and dismiss you row by row by row by pod. We ask you to go directly to your car and prepare to line up so that we can have a send-off parade out the driveway. Let us enjoy the final musical presentation.
$525,600 minutes, 525,000 moments, oh dear. 525,600 minutes. How do you measure a year? In daylights, in sunsets, in midnights, in cups of coffee, in inches, in miles, and laughter and strife. 25,600 minutes. How do you measure a year in the life? Seasons of love, seasons of love. 525,600 minutes, 525,000 journeys to plan, 525,600 minutes. How do you measure the life of a woman or a man? Truth that she learned, or in times that
So faculty and trustees and staff, please go ahead and begin moving on. Folks in your pods, please just remain.